Hi, today I want to show you one of the best looking finishes to be able to redo your kitchen cabinets or your furniture with, and that's with our liming wax. Here's a cabinet door that you see. I love, of course, most of you know I love going to Habitat and getting cabinet doors. So this allows you to be able to see kind of the old look of the cabinet door that I painted. I put 2 coats of the one-step black paint on top of it. We do have a beautiful pure black that's beautiful, and a lot of people love working with it. So, but if you want to come back on top of it with the liming wax, it's going to give you this look here. The great thing about it is you don't have to go back and clean it later. It just gives it this beautiful resilient finish that from years to come you're just going to be buffing with a dry rag. So let me show you how to create this look. Now this particular cabinet door that I have is just out of a veneer material again. It doesn't have the detailing on it that this cabinet door does, but this is my liming wax. It's actually white, and it's a little bit thicker than the clear wax and the light antique. The consistency is different, and it's important that you see that when you're going to be working with it. So I'm going to have to dip my brush into the liming wax, and I'm going to offload it onto this cardboard. It's going to give me the ability to get the liming wax on all of the bristles. The first pass that you do, I want it to be much lighter, almost like you're putting a glaze on it. So you see as I'm doing it, I'm going to be cross-hatching and then feathering it out to where it's nice and smooth. So see how I'll do kind of an X and then I'll smooth it out. So this first application is much more sheer, it's not as heavy, and then I'm going to come back with a heavier application the second time. So I'm barely, see my brush, how it's just barely touching the top of that. I'm not pressing down a whole lot. I'm just kind of dusting it. And I'm making sure that I'm really moving my brush around on the surface area. Now, I'm going to allow this to be able to come to tack for about 10 minutes. Now see, I want you to see something. See how I had a little extra wax on the side of that bristle? I don't want that to stand out too much, so I'm just going to take a lint-free rag and I'm just going to barely, I don't want to put too much pressure on it because it'll go all the way down to my base coat. I'm just going to soften it just like that. So I want to make sure this dries for about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and you can come back tomorrow if you want to. If it's a project that you're having to put into a 2-day project, that's fine. I would suggest doing all of your kitchen cabinets or your furniture to this stage. Get it all done to this first pass that is just a real light, 100% coverage, soft look to the cabinet or furniture piece. Now I want you to come back, load up your wax again. This time it's a little heavier. So I'm going to start on the outside corner, and I'm always going to work my way in. So that way I can feather it in and I've got more control over it. This time you're going to see a little bit more bristles of my brush. It's a little bit harder to do these flat surface areas. That's why I thought it might be interesting to be able to show you what that looks like. So see how I'm working my way around the outside of the cabinet door? And then feathering in. And if there's areas that stick out to me more than others, I'll just come back and add a little bit more or feather it out. Now, of course, when you're working on a piece of furniture or a cabinet door that's got some nice detail to it, of course, right now this is screaming for some hardware. And then after a few minutes, after it has a chance to dry, right now I want you to touch it, and I want you to make sure that it's not moving around, that it's come to tack. You want this to be able to dry fairly hard. And even on the liming wax, it could dry up to an hour or even 2 hours before you buff it. That way it's going to have a much prettier sheen. I want you to be able to see the difference between this cabinet door and this cabinet door, when this is wet, how it looks and how it feels. And then with this cabinet door, how I've been able to come back, I can buff it with a lint-free dry rag, or I even like sometimes coming back with 4/0 steel wool and just buffing it, and it'll get an even prettier sheen to it. And when you buff it, you're going to notice it's going to wear away just a little bit of the liming wax, and that dark, either the black, or if you're using a Goodman, a lot of people like to lime over a Goodman, is hard to find. You'll see the details kind of peek through. That's very desirable. Gives it even more depth. Oh, I just think that is so rich. So see, I'm just going to buff this just a little bit so you can kind of see how that sheen starts to pop up. Just make sure that it's good and dry. But that sheen is so pretty, and it makes it so easy to clean. So there's no need to come back later and use abrasive cleaners. If you get spaghetti sauce on it, or if you're cooking in your kitchen and you get on it, my suggestion would be just to take a little water and wipe it off, because it's going to give you a really nice protective coat. It's going to continue to cure over a period of time, and you're going to get many, many years of enjoyment out of it. So hopefully this gives some understanding now about the liming wax and how it's different from our other waxes, and it gives you such a beautiful, elegant, easy finish in just minutes. So thank you. Now it's your time to go enjoy the bragging rights.